I mostly had fun working on Copy Conundrums 1, and you seem to have enjoyed watching it. Throughout the episode, I threw in a lot of references to other media, some Kirby related, others not so much. I figured, why not go over them? Just for some ground rules, I'm not going to be going over stuff that's like painfully obvious, like how Kirby Marshmallow is based on Kirby. Wow, who would have guessed? I'm also not going to go over sound effects, as I didn't have complete control over those. With all that out of the way, let's start. That was way too much. Inside of Cam's house, there are a number of noteworthy items on his shelf. These include the Star Rod from Kirby's Adventure, the Love Stick from Kirby's Dream Land 3, the Triple Star from Kirby Squeak Squad, a piece of the Dragoon from Kirby Air Ride, a potion from the Pokemon series, a sword that looks identical to the one used by Shogunyan from Yokai Watch, a cross, referencing, well, but more specifically being a reference to the Terminal Montage series, where Kerbo is depicted as a Christian, a bell from a Christmas video that I made in 2022, which Kirby Marshmallow was actually in, an angel topper from a Christmas video I made the year before, a soup can, and a freakishly accurate replica of Whirlpool Lamp from Battle for 608 sweater merch. I wonder where he got it from. The storybook-esque sequence before the first scene references the opening movie to Kirby's Return to Dreamland. The music reinforces this. When Cam turns the TV on, an intro plays. This intro is none other than the one from my previous object show, STBSM. I wonder if the two shows take place in the same universe. The Copy Printer Deluxe is a clear reference to the Kirby printer from Kirby Battle Royale, except its color scheme is based around my channel and Lamp instead of being based off of DDD. The music that plays in the commercial for the copy printer is the main menu theme from Kirby Battle Royale, which reinforces the reference. Speaking of the commercial, the copy printer costing 608 payments of 608 star coins is an obvious reference to this channel's main number, 608. Also, I don't really know if this counts as a reference, but when I was trying to come up with a good voice for the commercial person, I kinda based it off of Scrap Shooter from Skylanders Trap Team. Yeah, that was just me trying to find an excuse to talk about Skylanders. Moving on, when Cam rings a doorbell thinking it's a package, he is instead greeted by the IRS Waddle Dee orange. The manner in which he slams the door in the Waddle Dee orange's face is a reference to the VeggieTales silly song, Oh Santa. In this silly song, Larry is expecting Santa to come through the door, but is instead greeted by the IRS Peach, who says that he has come to tax Larry's something, but then Larry slams the door on him. This is almost exactly what KM does in the episode. The Postman Waddle Dee orange is a reference to the delivery Waddle Dee from Kirby and the Forgotten Land. I know I said no obvious character references, but one interesting thing about this is that I actually didn't know that this Waddle Dee's name was the delivery Waddle Dee. Like, I genuinely thought his name was Postman Waddle Dee. So that's why his name is Postman Waddle Dee Orange in the show. By the time I realized that this wasn't his name, we were too far into production for me to have changed it, so I just kind of went with it. On the clipboard that KM signs, okay, well, calling this a signature would be a bit generous. The shipping company at the top is named YHWH Shipping, which is a reference to the Christian name for God, Yahweh. The pen that KM uses to quote-unquote sign the clipboard is actually a reused asset from the character Skrelt Pen from STBSM. This isn't really a reference as much as it is just me not wanting to make a new asset, but hey, why not kill two birds with one stone? After KM takes his package, the Postman Waddle Dee Orange says,
I do not get paid enough for this. Wait, I don't get paid at all.
This is a reference to STBSM 6, where Venipede Pill and Dynamo Extension Cord say the same thing together. On the left corner of the package, three icons can be seen. A chalice, a cross, and a flame that is identical to the ones used for Live a Candle and Lamp. Maybe they were the ones who manufactured the printer. Nah. The chest in the right corner of KM's room is a reference to the chest from Kirby Squeak Squad. On the instruction sheet for the Copy Printer Deluxe, there is an image of it with a fish on it. This is a popular Christian symbol, being a convenient way to say Christ our Lord. Inside of KM's chest, there are a few hats that weren't taken out by Bandana Dee Orange. They are Fighter, Cutter, Bomb, Bell, specifically the Kirby Fighters 2 Christmas variant, Wheel, and Suplex. I used these specifically because they had either already been seen in previous videos or were just recolors of other hats I made. Or, in Suplex's case, both. After Cam puts the hats in the printer and it starts to go haywire, there are shots specifically for him and Bandana D Orange. After the camera changes from the printer to Cam and Bandana D Orange, there's a purple thing that helps highlight the transition. This is something I've dubbed as the sweater fade, as it's appeared in multiple animations of mine over the years. As Beam first realizes that she's alive, there's a purple background surrounding her. This is the exact same background used in Jigglypuff Balloon Slide in the newer STVSM intro, which in itself is a reference to the special zoom from Smash Ultimate. Mirror running around is a reference to the phenomena in BFDI where characters run around screaming "oh my gosh" while flailing their arms. The specific animation I used was recycled from that one BFDI 14 but it's Kirby Mass Attack video. The time card being 4 hours and 27 minutes later is a reference to the date April 27th, which is the release date of Kirby's Dream Land in Japan. 427 is a commonly recurring number in the Kirby franchise, making it akin to BFDI's usage of the number 2763. The background from the time card itself is actually taken from the modern STVSM intro. The various names suggested for some of the copy mellows, and yeah, that's what these guys are called, copy mellows. Originally the episode's title was gonna have that in it, but I removed it because I thought it sounded boring. But yeah, they're all references. Teresa in Staff is a reference to St. Teresa of Avalon. Clive for Yo-Yo is a reference to Clyde Staples Lewis, also known as C.S. Lewis. Sword being George is a little bit of a personal reference, if you know, you know. And Sleep being Sakurai is a reference to Masahiro Sakurai, the creator of the Kirby series and the current director of the Smash Bros. Series. I thought this was fitting since, Sakurai made Kirby and I made this, I guess you could say different interpretation of Kirby, and I voice Sleep, so both me and Sakurai are kind of creators. I can't believe I'm comparing myself to Masahiro Sakurai. On the whiteboard that Cam writes on, a small message reads, "Don't forget to tithe," in reference to the prize money. For those who don't know, the practice of tithing is when you give 1/10 of your earnings to either God directly or a holy institution like a temple in the Old Testament or a church today. I can't believe I just connected an object show to church. Nice. Moving on to the intro, Sword Slide is a reference to the pop culture image of King Arthur pulling the sword Excalibur out of a rock. Yo-Yo Slide is loosely based on his ability icon from Kirby Superstar. The same goes for Mirror. The royal graphic thingy on Staff's slide is partially composed of Lampet Lamp's flame asset. Fun fact, I actually first acknowledged this on my community tab. And lastly for the intro, the end screen was loosely based off of the title screens for games like Kirby's Return to Dreamland and Kirby and the Forgotten Land. The background when Cam says, "Okay guys," is directly taken from this video I did back in 2022, where I animated a few voice clips from the infamous Kirby voice acting video. When Staff asks Cam about the challenge and he blanks for a bit, the face he makes is a clear reference to Terminal Montage. The really cool blade of grass seen during Beam and Sword's heart-to-heart is a clear homage to the character of the same name from Battle for 608 sweater merch. Mirror's run cycle is based off of Kirby's run cycle in the games. Admittedly, it could have been better, but I don't see you animating the show, now do I? I intended for Ice's run cycle to do the same, but you could barely see it. The shirt donut Staff is an obvious reference to... go by, please. The conveniently placed hat that conveniently had all the contestants' names in it is a reference to a birthday video I made, where KM is seen wearing the same hat. This hat in itself is a reference to the hat that Kirby wears in the Kirby Master videos that play when you 100% complete Kirby Superstar Ultra, Kirby's Return to Dreamland, and Kirby Triple Deluxe. I don't know if it's in Kirby Planet Robobot or not, and I don't really feel like looking it up. Ice's pose that she strikes, thinking that she's won, resembles the pose that Kirby often does before and after his iconic victory dance. Upon realization that she indeed has not won, the iconic crash out background is seen, popularized in modern BFDI episodes. The pose that KM makes as he kicks the Waddle Dee Tangerine is identical to the pose that he makes when doing his side smash in Smash Ultimate. The background is meant to represent the zoom effect from Smash Ultimate 2. It was originally used in Jigglypuff Balloon Slide in the STVSM intro, which I noted before, but since it was blue, I had to change its color to red inside of the anime document. But then for some reason when I exported it, it turned out blue. The reference was still there and I didn't feel like changing it, so I just kept it. The cake that the Waddle Dee Tangerine was trying to eat was a reference to the shortcake from Kirby's Squeak Squad. No wonder he got so violent over it. The voting screen is a reference to the corkboard in Kirby Superstar. During the episode's development, I was originally going to give it a red and green background like how it looked in the SNES version, but then I kinda thought it looked ugly, so I made it look blue like the DS version. This made more sense to me on a personal level because the version I played growing up was the DS version and not the SNES version because, I'm not a fossil. While we're on the topic of the voting screen, the voting icons are based off of the ability stars from the modern 2D Kirby games. And last, but certainly not least, the credit sequence is loosely based off of the credits for Milky Way Wishes in Kirby Superstar and its remake. And those are all the references I can remember putting in the episode. Funnily enough, a lot of these actually weren't planned. Yeah, there were obvious ones like the copy printer and the really cool blade of grass, but a lot of them I kinda just went with as the episode's production went on. It really goes to show how background elements can really make a show pop. Anyway, that'll be it for today, guys. If you managed to make it to the end of this video, thank you. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe especially so that you know whenever I post again. This was my first time doing long form content, and depending on how it does, I may do more. But until then, I'll see you guys later. God bless. Also, shout out YokaiWatchFan103 for predicting this video's topic while I was working on it.